2006, then the government of Karnataka appointed a commission to inquire into irregularities in mining in the state of Karnataka. Karnataka has quite an abundance of two minerals, especially the iron ore and manganese, which was actually the mining industry as such was waning out in 90s, and many of the companies established by the British were closing down in India. That's when the world found a method to convert mining mineral finds, iron ore finds, into other value-based minerals. That's the time when China was going to have their Olympics. So what was abandoned over the centuries in the state of Karnataka as mining waste found a valuable mineral in that by converting that into a value-based mineral. So it was a mad rush from the year 2000 onwards in the state of Karnataka to get mining licenses, leases, which was granted liberally without even making any assessment of the availability of these mining iron ore finds. Consequently, all irregularities that is known to law and unknown to law also were found ways to get into this system. In 2000, people who had no knowledge of mining whatsoever started getting mining leases in this state, and the irregularities started. Of course, it was noticed by the authorities concerned then and there itself, but because of the powerful lobbies that were behind in getting these mining leases, nobody said anything about that. About 6 years later, that's in 2006, for political reasons, then the government appointed a commission of inquiry headed by a retired Chief Justice of Madhya Pradesh High Court. He was given 6 months' time to complete his inquiry or investigation, which he couldn't complete. That's about the time I came to Karnataka and took over as a Lokayukta Karnataka. Many people did not know much about me because I was away from Karnataka for 18 years. And when the government of the day found then the commission of inquiry not very acceptable, they transferred the inquiry to the Lokayukta Karnataka under the provisions of the Lokayukta Act, and I took over from there. The reason, as I understand today, of appointing this commission, first commission of inquiry, was to find out the person responsible for the irregularities during the period 2000 to 2006. That was the time period that was given. So that the government of the day can take political advantage of blaming a person who was in the helm of affairs at that point of time. When I took over the investigation, I was fortunate enough to have some very good officers who assisted me throughout, and it is their effort which culminated in a report which was submitted to the government of Karnataka in 2011, which was 26,000-page report with all annexures and evidences, which named more than 700 officers of different ranks were serving the government of Karnataka, 3 chief ministers, one of them was the chief minister at the time when the report was submitted, and about 200 companies and businessmen who were involved in these irregularities. The irregularities were so huge, Karnataka could never ever have dreamt that that much of wealth of the Karnataka state was taken away without the people of that state getting even 1 paisa benefit from that. The irregularities started from the time when the lease was granted, which was done without any prospecting licenses being obtained, which was the condition precedent for getting a regular lease. The areas that granted under the lease were not even demarcated. Just some survey numbers were mentioned, the village was mentioned, and the acreage was given. Whether that much acreage is in reality there, or did the schedule include much more than what was declared to the government, because they have to pay the ground rent for that. So it started from there. Nobody took control of that, even though there are various departments were there. starting from the time of granting prospecting licenses, then onwards regular leases and other things. And the Mines and Minerals Department was there, Revenue Department was there, Forest Department was there, Transport Department was there, Commercial Tax was there, police were also involved in that. So when these people went and started mining, they were not really doing mining job. They were collecting the fines which were thrown across the mines as useless mineral, which had tremendous value at the point of time. That was being excavated, not even mined, and transported to China mostly and some other countries. Irregularities were there in mining in forest area, which is totally prohibited, but that was done in an extensive manner. The depth of mining, when they started actual mining, that went beyond the specified depth. The distance between one mine and another mine also was reduced. Nobody took control of anything of this sort. The people living in the surrounding areas had to migrate because of the irregularities in mining and the difficulties they had in tolerating this type of mining. There's one small city in the district of Ballari called Santhosh. I think the one and the only road that is used in that city, it runs for about 5 to 6 kilometers where the mining actually starts. It is said that more than 8,000 lorries, either 4,000 lorries going to the mine and 4,000 loaded lorries coming out of the mines, were running every day, 24 hours. You can imagine a small 40-foot width road having so many lorries traveling in it, all loaded with fines and not covered, uncovered vehicles where the fines would fly out and lodge themselves in the greenery or water bodies or even houses and other things. Such was the problem. Roads were totally destroyed because there was overloading. The single axle vehicle, which was entitled to carry about 16 metric tons of mineral, was carrying more than 24-25 tons of the weight and all, which the roads in Karnataka could not take the load. So naturally the road started getting deteriorated and traveling became a big problem in the state. But nothing ever was done even to reduce the problems of the people or to save a little money for the exchequer of the state. In this process, we found that mineral, which was worth in the open market 6,000 to 7,000 rupees, depending upon the ferrous content in it, they call it Fe, was fetching that much of money, but was being given by the state of Karnataka for mere 27 rupees per metric ton. 6,000 to 7,000 rupees was the price at which it was sold to different foreign countries, whereas the state of Karnataka got only 27 rupees. Nobody took any trouble to evaluate and find out the fair share of the state. It is said, and every person we interacted with who was into mining business, they were telling us to our face that, do you know how much money we pay? We asked to whom? To the various departments. 27, I repeat, 27 rupees to the state of Karnataka. Let's say the lower figure of 6,000 rupees per metric ton. And see the damage that royalty. Roads were destroyed. Ecology was destroyed. But still, that's all the state got. In my report, I said, if they have to, the miners have to pay 150 rupees per metric ton for excavation, 150 tons per ton for transportation, that becomes 300. Add 500 rupees bribery for that, because that was the main problem that they had, or at least their expenditure. It becomes 500 plus 600, 300, 800 plus 27 rupees. But still, the magnitude of mining was so humongous that in my first interim report, which I submitted in the year 2008 itself, I stated, stop export. This mineral is not regenerating. According to the scientific report we had, The deposit that's available in the state of Karnataka, iron ore, will last for another 30 years only. Thereafter, you will have to go in search of minerals from other countries, and you'll have to pay much more than what you're paying to this. I suggested that the iron ore mills should be permitted to be put up only in areas where mining can take place so that this long transportation can be avoided. That will give them extra revenue. That will give them other facilities to the villages. They can have hospitals there. They can have schools there, where nothing exists today. But I still remember one of the ministers saying, no, it's not 30 years, it is 35 years. This is the statesmanship we have amongst the people who are administering this state. I can only confine my observation to this state. But this is the magnitude, in spite of my submitting a comprehensive report in the month of July 31st, 2011, till date, nothing has been done. But fortunately for the state of Karnataka, the Supreme Court, which took cognizance of the matter in a public interest litigation, sought the report and appointed a committee called the Centrally Empowered Committee to look into the matter. And that committee went through the report and recommended to the Honorable Supreme Court to give certain directions, consequent to which mining in the state of Karnataka was totally stopped. It's just going to restart shortly, but then it will be in a more planned manner because certain directions have been given and a committee has been appointed to supervise the restarting of the mining in the state of Karnataka. The amount that is lost to the state of Karnataka, which we have calculated in a very modest way, was 16,000 crores of rupees. And that was from 2000 to 2011 when we submitted the report, But the grievance of the people are such, nobody has bothered to look into it. No steps have been taken to rectify it from the state level. And the amount that is lost to the state, which has gone to the coffers of the mining company and the people who have taken decision. Let me give one example, that's enough. In the beginning time when the investigation started, there was a concept which we discovered called the floating mine concept. Floating minerals means that minerals which came along with the gravity or under water pressure during monsoon, and it comes and gets settled in revenue lands. But under the Mines and Minerals Regulation Act, if you want to remove that floating mineral also, you must have a mining license, which was never taken by anybody, which was never accounted. No royalty was paid for this. And applications were made in the pretext that a particular agricultural land has become, agriculture cannot be done there because of the fact there is a mineral deposit. So permit me to remove that stones was the application that was made. And it was permitted to be removed. Worth crores and crores of rupees worth of it. When one of the officers, an IAS officer who was in charge of the mining department, objected to that, then the particular person said, no, you please permit the license to be given for transportation only. Then that person said, officer said, no, I can't do that. That officer was transferred, another officer was brought. The second officer also said, no, these are all matters of record in the file. The second officer also said, this can't be done without a proper mining license being granted. Because definition of mining was such, it included even removal and transportation, apart from actual excavation. That person was also transferred. The third person who came as a secretary permitted that, and their names are mentioned in the report. This is how the system functioned. People in Sandur and other areas near Hospet used to send letters saying, please kill us by giving poison, but don't do this type of mining. Fortunately for Karnataka, things are changing now because of the intervention of the Supreme Court. And one of the fallout of this was that the neighboring state, Goa, And other states like Odisha, Jharkhand, and other areas, also such irregularities were noticed, and the government of Karnataka, the union government appointed Justice M.B. Shah Commission, which has gone into it. They found in a small state like Goa, the loss suffered by that state because of this type of irregularity in mining was 30,000 crores of rupees. If you go to other states like Jharkhand and Odisha, Bihar and other areas, I think it should be huge, and Justice Shah report indicates that also. How people have enriched themselves is one example is, there was a chief minister in Jharkhand called Madhukoda. He was investigated by the CBI. In 1 year's tenure as chief minister of that state, he is supposed to have deposited 2,000 crores in Liberia in one side to Indonesia in the other side in 1 year. I'm not shooting out these figures from my thing. I have had the statements issued by the various investigating agencies are there. 2,000 crores in 1 year. This is the irregularities, this is the corruption that is involved in mining. My team, in one day in February 2010, stopped 90 lorries in a place called Ankola in district Karnataka in the west coast. All the 90 lorries have passed through 5 checkposts of the Mines and Minerals Department, Forest Department, Commercial Tax Department, and Police Department, Transport Department. Not a single checkpost had even acknowledged the vehicle passing through these 5 checkposts in this distance of about 230 kilometers. And that mineral was deposited in a port called Bilikere by my officers and gave the custody of it to the port officer. A few months later, it was found, it was about 5 lakh metric tons. The entire deposit was taken away from there and exported. When it was reported to the Lokayukta, a minister goes and visits Karwar and sends a message to the government of Karnataka to keep him under suspension for misbehavior. Insubordination is the actual word that is used. Why? Because the concerned minister was sending message from the office of one of the companies which was, an FIR was filed against for theft of this mineral. And that officer was kept under suspension, which led to my resignation. But for some reason, I say in retrospect for a good reason, that I had to withdraw my resignation because I could complete my report and submit the report. This is the one aspect of mining in Karnataka of which I have some experience. The second, though may sound somewhat insignificant, is the illegal mining of sand in the state of Karnataka. We don't have a policy for sand mining. Except certain executive orders, we don't have a policy. In 2009, as Lokayukta, I sent a letter to the government of Karnataka saying that this mining is also very dangerous because river could change its course and cause floods and damage crops, apart from other natural calamities that could take place because of the unplanned sand mining, especially from riverbeds. Well, I read recently in the paper some policies coming soon or maybe it might have come recently. But see the consequences of that. Day before yesterday, I read a news item. All the airport taxis have gone on strike in support of those sand-carrying lorries in sympathy with them. And the demand was very, very telling. We should take cognizance of the demand. The demand is to withdraw all criminal cases filed against them for carrying illegal sand, and in future not to stop that transportation for illegal sand. We have come to a stage when certain things have been going on for such a long time that the expectation is gone beyond the law. Even illegal activities are supposed to be recognized and regularized. And this is not the only area where I found such demands. There are demands from other areas also. For example, a few months back, I saw CBI had filed an FIR against one secretary of the Union of India who was in charge of coal Department of Coals, I suppose, whose name was mentioned in the FIR, when some senior administrative service officer said, if this is the manner in which the CBI is acting, we will not sign any more files. Allegation is that irregularly or illegally he has signed the file. But the officers say, if you are going to do this in future, we are not going to sign any files. This is in the background of our country, which is losing lakhs and lakhs of crores of rupees because of this type of illegal corruption. Yes, in mining and in dealing with natural resources, there is a big corruption. Permit me to speak for another few minutes about what the Karnataka Lokayukta does, because there is an impression Karnataka Lokayukta has been doing only anti-corruption job. Yes, we've been doing anti-corruption job. But under the Prevention of Corruption Act, the anti-corruption investigation can be conducted only by a police officer, not below the rank of a deputy superintendent of police or such officer as the state of Karnataka notifies in a gazette. Therefore, anti-corruption work in the state and the country, in this country, can be conducted by a police officer only. It is not permissible to be done by any other officer. Consequently, all the credit should go to the police. If Karnataka Lokayukta has done any good work in anti-corruption area, it is done by the Karnataka Lokayukta police, who have done a wonderful job. But there is another aspect of corruption. The suffering of the people because of corruption, consequent maladministration or arrogance of power. We have seen thousands of such cases where the have-nots, let me say that have-nots were suffering because of that. Where we have done a good job, and 90% of the work done by the Karnataka Lokayukta is in regard to that area, in responding to the problems of the people, or ordinary people who were suffering, may not be from corruption, but by other maladministration practices. That's what gives one a lot of satisfaction, I think. I'll give one example of how sufferings of the people can be. In Koppal in 2010, a district in one of the districts of Karnataka state, a lady from the village goes for delivery to hospital, general hospital, which is supposed to be meant for the poor, a free hospital meant for the poor. They don't give her a bed, the staff there. She was told, unless you pay so much money, there's no bed available. So she sent somebody to the village to get some money. In the meantime, the staff said, don't sit here, go out. Sit outside till the money comes. She had to cross the hospital, road in front of the hospital, sit in a bus stop and deliver there. This is the administration in which, I can give you hundreds, reel out hundreds of such examples. Where are we heading? Where is this greediness taking us? I'm fond of narrating these similar incidents everywhere to impress upon a fact that I doubt today whether we are born as a human species. There is a saying in this part of Karnataka, which if translated to English, it says, become what you want to become in life, but become a human being first. Let us not think we are all born human beings. I think in our journey of life, if we acquire some humanism, then we become human beings. And our goal should be to die as a human being rather than a Homo sapien species. This is what the corruption or the greed does to people. I have taken a decision to fight this malice in my own way. I have realized I don't think people of my age can really change this, because we are the ones who have changed the system. I think as Justice Venkatachalaya said, we claim to have a culture of 5,000 years. I don't think greed is one of that. But why have we turned ourselves into this? So to change that greed in us, I think we have to change the society. To change the society, I think we have to change the thinking of the youth. Try and make them understand to find out contentment, satisfaction in what they legitimately earn. Today, an average Indian, if he is a person of contentment, can survive happily, if not luxuriously, with what he can legitimately earn. There may be a class of people who have deprived that also. Yes, I know. But most of us can survive with that. The main culprit, according to me, in that area is the society. Society recognizes wealth and power as the only two indicators to find out what is the success in a man. That society invites such people in power or wealth to the podiums or the stages and felicitates them, sending a wrong message to the youth of this country. That's not the society which I saw when I was growing. I think we've got to change that society. Everybody has a role in that and to change that society. So I go to colleges, schools, and other youth organizations, which are more than 700 in number till now, where I try to speak to the youth, advise them, and telling them my views about the true contentment and satisfaction in life. If I could change even 5% of them, maybe in the decades to come, things will change. And I hope that is the way to bring about a change.